five aggregates. Well, we got to define what the world is. The world as we know it, in Buddhism we would consider it as the conventional world. And it's changing all the time. And the world is based on convention. I'll give you an idea how the conventional world progresses. Some of you will remember, maybe 20, 30 years ago, that we only have something called white bread, right? And then, if you're lucky, you may be able to get either thick slice, medium slice, or thin slice, right? Then somebody came up with an idea, people get fed up of white bread. So they say, yeah, we make brown bread. Then we have brown bread. Then after a while, people get bored about bread. So people who sell bread, don't want people to eat other things other than bread. You might eat porridge, noodles, whatever. So you want to keep you eating bread. So they create another new bread, seeded bread. So we have seeded bread. And it's not good enough. Then we have 50-50. So it goes on. So the world progresses by pandering to our desires. The people who are actually transforming the world are actually trying to get you to be interested in what they're producing, trying to make you happy, trying to keep you from being bored, right? Trying to make you happy, that's the aim. And they make you happy by giving you something new to experience. And when you say, wow, that's something new, that's interesting. And then before you become bored, they give you something else. So they have people who do a lot of research, market research, everything, to see the next best thing. So if you go back to 20, 30 years ago, we had one bread, now we have maybe 20 different types of bread. We have coffee, now we have latte, cappuccino, macchiato, whatever. 20 different types of coffee. Teas, even worse, we got 50 different types of tea. We got herbal tea, fruit tea, green tea, white tea. I don't know what white tea is, but there's white tea, all sorts of tea. So I remember at one time we complained, well, there's this thing called TMI, too much information. Now we have this thing, too many choices, TMC, too many choices, right? So you just go, if somebody asks you, can you get me a loaf of bread, you're in big trouble. You say, what sort of bread do you want, brown or white, seeded or unseeded, So it's never simple. So our world progresses from something very basic, bread. Then we start making a distinction, or create something new. White bread, brown bread. So there's a distinction between white bread and brown bread. We make a distinction, and our minds learn, oh yeah, we learn to discriminate. That's white bread, that's brown bread. I don't like white bread, I like brown bread. Then we start making distinction, create something new. So we have lots and lots of discrimination. So our mind learns to discriminate. of certain thing. And we put labels on it, so they are distinct things, right? But that's the world. That's the world we live in. So I thought I'm giving this talk, for the past few days, I'm just find out how the world has progressed. When we practice, we leave the world. We don't really go and find out what's happening in the world. So I find out, what's the next best thing that's coming up? We have this VR, virtual reality. Right? Wow, that sounds really good. It's going to really get people addicted to it. And then we have electric cars. It's going to really change the whole world. Electric cars, which is a good thing. So instead of having petrol stations, we'll be having sort of charging points or whatever. So it makes the world progresses by pandering to people's desire, creating new desires for people, creating new things, making it convenient, so they don't even have to move. Now you can just control life with your, presumably your mobile phone or something like that. So you can do everything without just moving. So people who are living in this world now will find that there are lots and lots of choices. And wherever they go, they're bombarded with advertisement, telling them this is good holiday, go to outer space when we've been to all the countries in the world, go to Mars or whatever, save up, have this experience, out of the world experience, So there are many avenues in this 21st century for people to get addicted, to get attached to things. Once we start seeking, once we let the mind go out, start seeking, it becomes a very bad habit. Alright? Once we start Googling, we can't stop Googling. Before we go to a cinema, Google, see what's there. There's this and this in the cinema. Google to see where there's any cafe that's in this cinema. Google and see what the cafes sell. Googling. What we do all this is just to satisfy our desire. And if we keep learning 5 things to satisfy our desires, then we create a habit of getting satisfaction from something that's outside, right? And we don't realize, the reality is that yes, we have what we want, but after that, we seek for something else. Because the nature of the mind is such that when we can only get happiness when there is no desire, when there's no craving for something. The mistake we make is that whenever we have a satisfaction, we receive the reward of something, we get a little bit of happiness. But the bliss that comes is that when that desire is satisfied, for that momentary period, we do not have that any desire. And that momentary period, where we do not have any desire, is a period of peace, of bliss, right? It is not the getting the reward, the satisfaction of desire. We mistaken that bliss. You say, I've got it, right? Right? When you say, I've got it, it is the cessation of your desire, right? It is not getting that thing. When you get that thing, you put it aside, right? You don't go looking, finding out more about it. You put it aside. You get that bliss. That bliss is because no more desires arises, right? We mistake that for getting the thing, right? So if we look at our mind carefully, and we find that every time when we have this satisfaction of receiving something, it is when there is the absence of desire. But it doesn't last long. I will start looking for the next thing. What can satisfy me? I'm bored. I'm looking for something else. So the world keeps feeding us with this. Things we acquire. And what are all those things that we acquire? Those things that we acquire, physical things, it's a combination of two things. Physical object, something physical, right? You can say made out of matter, whatever matter it is, iron, plastic, whatever, right? Physical thing. But the most important thing is the concept that's associated with the thing. The thing itself, if you do not know what it is, has no value, right? But you say this phone has 101 different functions. You can create a 3D image, holographic image, right? You say, wow, it becomes different, right? Even though it becomes nothing fantastic, you just say, well, it's very rare, there's only one in a million, It's about 500 years old, and you go, wow, something rare. So what we really acquire is not really the thing itself, right? The concept, whatever salesman is trying to sell you, right? Sell you all this nice thing, all this nice concept, So that's the conventional world. The Buddha defined our world differently. He says, the world is formed of 5 aggregates, 5 bundles of things. Aggregates. Since the first aggregate is just matter, solid matter. We don't understand what matter is, plastic, whatever, something we can hold on to. And then there are 4 other aggregates, which is aspect of the mind. He divided into 4, so that it's much easier for us to see things that we can identify clearly. He could have made another 5, another 6, another 108 of the mind aggregates if he wanted to. But he does it 4. So matter is the first aggregate. Second aggregate is something we know called feeling. Feeling, he says, he defines it as physical sensation, pain and pleasure. And then there's three other mental feelings, which is pain, pleasure, and neutral feeling. So the two aggregates, metta, feeling. And then the third aggregate is perception. Right? And perception is the memory of a perception. Yes, a memory of perception. Well, you start with the back perception, and then it becomes thought perception, which is memory. So it classifies the third aggregate as anything that relates to perception. Then there's the fourth aggregate, and then there's the fifth aggregate. Now the fifth aggregate, the Buddha says, is consciousness. And he tells us what consciousness is. He says, he divides the consciousness into 6 different types of consciousness. He says, well, there's the eye consciousness, there's the ear consciousness, there's the consciousness associated with smell, there's a consciousness that is associated with taste, and there's the body consciousness. And then there is the mental consciousness, the mind itself. Well, he divides the consciousness into 6 different types of consciousness, so we can learn to see. Right? So, for example, somebody who's blind, they may have the eye organ, but the eye consciousness is not present. Right? So anything that's outside consciousness, memory, feeling, and metta, the rest is put into what the Buddha termed sankhara, right? Sankhara. There's a lot of definition for that. You can call it mental formation, mental fabrication. Whatever it is, that's outside of that, is in there. Something that's of mind. Thinking, thoughts, emotions, all that can put into the fourth aggregate, mental formations or mental fabrication. So these 5 aggregates represents the world. Right? So there's the conventional world. There is the world according to alternate realities. So a table is a conventional reality, right? Because there's a concept of a table. Alright? So if you say this is a material object, it's made of wood, it comes from a tree, right? Okay? So that is a material matter, right? Without any concept, right? So the matter, rupa, the Buddha is talking about is something fundamental, something very basic. Right? The same with feeling. Feeling is a sensation of either pleasure or pain. Right? A sensation. And the same with mental feeling, pleasure or pain. consciousness, very simple, very basic. It's eye consciousness. Either you have it or you don't have it. Right? Nose consciousness, taste, ear consciousness, body consciousness, and the mental consciousness. Very basic. Then everything, right? And then there's the perception. Right? When you hear a sound, that's a perception of sound. When you see an image, that's the perception of an image. Right? When you feel hardness or softness, that's the perception, body perception. Right? When you taste something, pleasant or unpleasant, that is a perception. Now, the perception, when it is stored, becomes memory. So that will be classified under perception as well. Stored perception, memory. Well, these are all very basic. The Buddha has to redefine the world for us so that we do not get confused. Right? We do not get confused so that we are able to see things as they are. Right? Before we can see things as they are, we have to really know what we are perceiving. Know the difference between a table and just matter. Right? Difference between a table and a chair, they all matter. Right? There's no difference between a body and a tree trunk, they are matter. Right? Matter. So once we start to understand or see, come to see what matter is, then we can come to appreciate that the world we live in is constructed through conventional reality. It's not, the name is conventional reality. It is a reality, but it's convention, by convention. Right? We agree on it. Best example I say is a bowl, right? So if we agree that it is going to be a monk's arms bowl, right? You don't use it as a washing basin or using it as a spittoon, right? That's convention, right? We agree. It's an arms bowl, you don't use it for anything else, right? You can do it, you break convention, people get upset, right? So conventional reality is real. And it's real because we agree on it, right? So in terms of ultimate reality, an arms bowl can be used as a spittoon, right? The same, they make a metal, you know, shape, different, whether it's different, same or different, doesn't matter, it's a container, right? Basic form is a container. So the first thing that we have to learn to see with 5 aggregates is to see matter. The differentiate between matter and conventional reality, things that we have. What do we work on? Right? There's so many things, so many matter in this world. We work on the things that we are very attached to. That's the thing. Because the whole teaching of the Buddha is the ending of craving. That's the second noble truth. Ending of craving. Right? Gaining of wisdom. Knowing. So we have to work on something we are very attached to. And what is the thing that we are most attached to in this world? It's not your mobile phone. It's the body. It's our body. It's something that we are very attached to. Comb our hair, looks nice. Trim our beard, trim the eyebrow. Right. Paint our fingernails. It doesn't look good. Because we smell bad, we put perfume, deodorant. That's something which we are very attached to, right? If somebody touches, a stranger touches, you're wondering why he touches us, This is just matter, right? But it's not, it's my matter. Right? Your matter and my matter is different. Right? No matter how good your matter is, it's never as good as my matter. Right? Okay? But when we come to see a dead body, all dead bodies are the same. Right? They do different shit. Right? If they're not going near a dead body anymore. Comfort. A dead body doesn't matter without consciousness. It makes a whole difference. So when dealing with matter, we've got to really understand. We've got to really look. Because the one thing that we possess is something called delusion. And the work of delusion is simple, cover things up. Right? Supposing we have a skeleton in our bedroom, right? Nobody would want to sleep in a skeleton in a bedroom, right? Now, one of the Buddhist meditation teachers says, every night we sleep with a skeleton. And that skeleton is in here, right? We sleep with our own skeleton, right? We forget that we have a skeleton. Right, that skeleton, wow, it's frightening. Skeleton outside is frightening. What about this skeleton that's in there? We can't see it. Maybe it's my skeleton is different. Right? Well, that's the attachment. That's what delusion makes, If it's mine, it's okay. What's my hair in the soup? That's not too bad. Wow, it's somebody's hair. No way. That's how we differentiate things. Right. Even when it comes to matter, when everything is the same, we still differentiate between mind and heart. Right? Even though after we have get rid of all concepts, really basic thing like skeleton or hair or something, we come to this nitty-gritty, the most important distinction, mine and yours. That makes the world different. Whole world different. That's the one that creates wars, that creates jealousies, everything. Right? Because it is mine and it's not yours. Or because it's yours, it's not mine. That's the thing that causes a lot of suffering. So the whole purpose of the Buddha in creating these 5 aggregates called khandhas in Pali. It's try to break down the idea of a self, the view of a self. Right? It says the world is only made up of these 5 aggregates. Right? If you postulate a self, it doesn't fit into any of these 5 aggregates. So the idea of a self is just an idea of a self. It's a view of a self. It's a concept of a self. It belongs to the conventional reality. It doesn't belong to the ultimate reality. It is not there. Well, we don't really have to think that, well, we have to test out. We don't have to really believe the Buddha say, we have to test it out. Right? Most people can't believe, well, I know I have a self. It's me who's doing it. Who else is doing it? Right? It's not me. Who else is doing it? It's not me speaking. Who else is speaking? There must be being who's doing something. That's very strong. View of self is very strong. So it's very, very difficult to break the view of the self. And the way we can do it is by looking, seeing, understanding. First of all, these 5 aggregates. And with this 5 aggregate, there is also another thing called the law of dependent origination. By understanding the working of dependent origination and seeing the 5 aggregate accurately, then we can come to see that there's no such thing as a self. The self is a creation of the mind. But the self, just like a table, right? This table persists, right? Persists because concept persists. Concept is permanent, right? But the material is not permanent. Right? So we combine the concept and the material. We think this whole composite is permanent because we take the permanency from the concept. Right? But we forget, if we say this is a piece of wood, right? Then we come to understand, yeah, it's going to turn into dust one day. Right? But as soon as we say this is a table, it's going to last for centuries. You know, how this identification with a conventionality depends a lot on the concept. There's one important thing I want to say about the Buddha's teaching. And you must always remember that whatever the teacher, Buddha teaches, it is a convenient means, convenient way, practical way of leading us towards the end of suffering. Right? Of breaking the view of self, enabling us to see there is one thing which exists and which is not part of the 5 khandhas, and that's Nibbana. There's something which is present. There's something which is permanent. There's something which is peaceful. We all can't see it, can we? the mind has to be elevated to a point when it starts letting go, when it starts seeing impermanent. When you are able to see impermanent, really see impermanent, then only can you see its opposite, which is permanent. Until that point, you can really see impermanent. It's just like any machine, you know, we're talking about just an analogy, any machine. Now if you create a machine that can detect electrons, you will be able to, that machine itself will be able to detect its opposite, positron or whatever, or proton, right? So the reason we cannot see this permanent thing is because our mind is not trained, we have not trained our mind to that sensitivity to be able to see impermanent. As soon as we see impermanent, we have a glimpse of the permanent, right? Then we slowly see this permanent. And when seeing this permanent, everything that comes with it, wonderful, tasteful, magnificent, blissful. Is there any other way? Unfortunately, there's no other way. Right? There's no other way of seeing the permanent until we come to understand the fundamental building blocks of conventional reality. When we come to see them, then we come to see the three important characteristics of the conventional reality. And that it is impermanent. That's the first thing. It doesn't last, it changes. And you know, we are now in the 21st century. So we know everything is made of molecules, or atoms, or whatever, quark, however basic you want to come to it. And those things are moving, changing, right? It's impermanent. And because things do continually change, right? You cannot have a permanent entity. Right? Whether it's material or immaterial, whether it's matter or mind, even feeling changes. Perception is relative. Perception changes. When you're hungry, you say, wow, this food is really good. After it, when you're full, you see the full of it, the sake of it, you say, no more. Perception changes. That is dependent. Our memory changes as well. Even though it's not memory, you forget it. Oh, you were there. No, I wasn't there, Memory changes as well. And consciousness changes. We're in a good mood, we're in a bad mood, we're in a neutral mood, in an angry mood. So, changes all the time. So you can't blame people when their mood changes. Why? Your mood changes as well. No, my mood is different. You should be able to control yourself. We never apply to ourselves. Right? That's what delusion does. when we see that things change, it is not permanent, then it is not advisable to hold on to it. Right? So at the temple, I have people coming to visit me, they bring me flowers, beautiful. I know after 4 days, it's going to go. But what I do? Beautiful flower, smells nice. If you don't change the water, it's going to sting the whole place. It does. Right? So I can hold on to the flower, appreciate it. Just for 2 days. 3 days, it starts changing. Right? So there's no point getting attached to the flower. Right? It's going to work. Right? So I see it, I say, yeah, it's beautiful. Smells nice. I'm going to change it. Right? So you don't get attached to things. You don't get attached to people. You don't get attached to yourself. We are changing all the time whether we like it or not. And if we attach to things that change, the things it doesn't have a self, we're going to suffer. Attachments mean holding on to. And when you hold on to something, you want to keep holding on to it. You want to pretend. You do everything to keep that something because you will be attached to it. And when it's no longer there, you're going to suffer. Simple as that. If you want to see attachment very clearly, if you see a children having eating ice cream, try taking the ice cream from the children or playing the toy. Try taking the toy from the child. They'll show you what the result of attachment. Because they do not know self-restraint. They still yell. Right? They start yelling the whole house down. Or you don't you take them to the toy shop and you don't give them what they want, they don't care, they start yelling. Right? They haven't learned self-restraint yet. Right? So even children, when they're born, people think, oh, children are innocent. Yes, they are. They're innocent. Right? Because they don't know about things yet. Right? But they still have craving, delusion, and hate. Right? Children are not pure. Right? They're innocent because they don't know. Once they know about ice cream, they know about toys, they know about everything, they're not going to let go. They crave as much as us, even more. Right? They fight over toys as well. This is my toy, let them share it. Or we teach children to share. Right? Hold on to their toy, give it to their friends, walk away. But it's nice when they're innocent, they don't know anything about it. Then they get to learn about things. Get to learn about life and this life. That's what discrimination is. It's our feeling. Right? Through our feeling we discriminate. I like brown bread, I don't like white bread. Right? We start discriminating. I like seeded bread, I don't like unseeded bread. I like sesame seeded bread, I don't like pumpkin seeded bread. Right? I like linseed seeded bread. Oh, it's not latte, Americano, oh, I can't make cappuccino, no, I'm not used to it, I can't. Things happen to me. So there's another third aspect. That's the fourth aspect, which delusion covers. Because of concept, because of liking, we tend to see things as beautiful. But when we see that things are impermanent, that they do not have a substance in itself, that they decay, the things do not become beautiful. The body is not beautiful. You have a concept of beauty, we impose that concept of beauty. Right? Now, if somebody has a third eye here, wow. I don't know how many people will say it's beautiful. Right? Maybe you have a small percentage. Say, yeah, it's right. Right? Something, whoa, that's weird, you know, I'm not sure. Right? But if we become accustomed to it, right? We can change our idea of beauty. Then one day become beautiful. Yeah, I want to have a third eye. Yeah, that's right. I can blink with the other eyes. Yeah. Whatever. You know. So things like modern art, you know, same thing. Not sure about this cow, you know, it's been sawn into a half, you know. Somebody keeps saying, oh, it's valuable, it's beautiful, it's made by the artist. You don't understand. Oh yeah, it's beautiful, now I understand. I didn't see it before. So in matter itself, that you have to see these four characteristics. Then first of all, that they are impermanent. Because they are impermanent, they do not have a permanent essence. Right. If you think of, there is a permanent essence, right? And that's just a concept. Right? Table. This table is going to deteriorate, right? After some time. But the concept of this table still remains. You can build another table, it is exactly the same. With any material, right? From the concept, material is different, but material is going to decay, going to change. Doesn't have an answer. And when things change and do not have an answer, and if we hold on to it, we are going to suffer. Right? So all things, if we hold on to it, we're going to suffer. Even the memory of something that is nice, that happened, wow, we think it's nice. And we say, no, we have this melancholy, oh, I missed it, oh, I miss, you know, sitting in the park. You know, that's kind of thing. If you attach to it, you're going to suffer. And the fourth thing, that they are not really beautiful. Now, if we break a person up into all the 32 parts that's taught by the Buddha, hair, the head, skin, flesh, bone, all the organs, you know? And if we examine all these little bits, they're not really beautiful. No? They're smelly, or stuff, squishy. Right? How did we get the concept of beauty? See? That's the work of the mind. That's the work of delusion. So know our respect the conventional reality. Because we live in a conventional world. But we want to see the world in ultimate reality. So that we become dispassionate with things which are not real, conventional reality. They're not real.
in Vida. Because things are just matter, concept, feeling. Right? And feeling is very, when you understand concept, when you understand concept and matter, the next thing to look at is feeling. Feeling is a very powerful thing. We do most things because of feeling. Whatever we do is because of feeling. I want to go there because it feels good. I want this because it's nice. I don't want this because it's I don't like it. Whatever it is, it's because of feeling that draws us. We do things because of feeling. We fall in love because of nice feeling. Everything is because of feeling. That comes from the law of dependent origination. Well, all that you need to know about dependent origination, which is most important in the practice, is that as soon as there's contact with any of the six consciousness, whether it's body, or any of the five senses consciousness, and the mind consciousness, if there's contact with mind and their thought, mind object, feeling arises. That's the important aspect. The rest of the dependent origination, that is the first thing. Dependent on feeling, craving arises. And it gets worse. Depending on craving, clinging arises, which is attachment. Depending on clinging, become. Right? So the most important aspect of dependent origination is to know the cause of contact. No feeling arises if we have no contact with an object, whether in the mind or with any of the five senses. Right? Can you get a feeling from an object that you are not in contact with? That's one of the questions that the Buddha asked. Think about it. Can you? It's because of contact the feeling arises. And the feeling that arises from the contact is a conditioned thing. When we examine feeling, then you examine what in the conventional reality is called baggage, memory, perception, baggage. Well, it all depends. There are lots of people who carry a lot of baggage. We keep talking, when I was young, this person, this person got. So these are the person got to work with their baggage first. Right? They got to let go of the baggage. Constant contact with your baggage is going to bring the same feeling up. You cannot cure yourself of depression or cure yourself or become better if you don't let go of the baggage. Right? There's some self-pity there in holding this baggage. There's something to prove. That I've been victimized. I want justice. Or they use it as a reason to justify what they're doing. To justify their action. An excuse. Right? Got to let go of that baggage. It doesn't serve any purpose. And a good baggage, you can keep it. Creates good feeling. Charity, the good work you do. Those are good. Because it gives a good feeling. Without attachment. Right? It gives a good feeling. And if that good feeling comes in, it gives you joy. And that's good. That gives you energy. Anything that takes you down, the depression or painful feeling, just let go of it. There's no good reason to hold on to it. Anything. Get it. So we work. Feeling, we work with memory, thinking, consciousness. Now the last one I want to talk about, which is the mental consciousness. The mental, well, there's very little you can do with the five sense consciousness. But the mental consciousness that we have, the state of the mental consciousness, depends on what's in there. Right? What you're holding, what contents it is. Right? So that depends on the mental formation, sankhara, mental fabrication. Well, how does that mental fabrication work? You see somebody, we don't lie, or we lie. That's how we all start. Like, you don't like, man, it starts going. When you like, they say, yeah, well, maybe I should get to know her, I said, what's all this, this thing, And the worst thing is you come to believe in it, all this mental fabrication. It's nothing. It's something that you created in your mind. It's nothing to do with reality. Right? Some can be outrageous, or it can be very logical. There's nothing to do with reality. Or somebody you don't like. And you start making things. Why is he looking at me like that? All sorts of things. You did something, you did it, Nothing. It's all mental fabrication. Right? When we do that, we stop. Right? We learn to stop, learn to drop. Because it is something that our mind habitually does. In the end, it comes to nothing. Right? In the end, it comes to nothing. There's a difference between mental fabrication, fantasy, and planning something. Even though when you're planning something, you know it's just a plan. It's not going to work out the way you think it's going to work out. Because you cannot anticipate what happening. You cannot anticipate what the next thing is going to occur, right? So mental fabrication, let go. So when we learn to see all these things, we learn to be dispassionate with it. I've used this word, dispassion. What is this feeling of dispassion like? Before we get to this feeling of dispassion, there is another practice we have to do. When we come to dispassion, the dispassion is a cool feeling, it's a blissful feeling. Beneath this cool, peaceful feeling, there is a lot of compassion. There's a lot. loving, kind. Those are very skillful things. But before we get invested in our practice, we have to practice calm meditation, samatha meditation. And the reason is this. When we practice calm meditation, we develop joy. Right? We develop joy, we develop peace, we develop a sense of well-being. However you practice meditation, whatever object that you use, if you can enter into a state of calm and able to create this sense of joy, well-being, then that's a good foundation. Because when you do the practice of looking at impermanence, at looking at the absence of an essence, and looking at things that cause suffering, and looking to see that it is ugly, then aversion can arise. Right? So we are moving from attachment to this conventionality, right, to aversion to what is an ultimate reality, right? Instead of going to dispassion. Right? So if we develop calm meditation, a sense of well-being, right? This sense of well-being is a natural state of the mind, right? So if we can have that state of well-being, then we won't go from passion to aversion. Passionate thing to aversion. Get to the sense of well-being, joy, before we get to the state of dispassion. Right? The state of dispassion is the object of the practice, but that comes towards the end. But the intermediate state which you want to be in is a sense of well-being without attachment to things. So if your practice incorporates practice of calm meditation to elevate your mind to this sense of well-being, then when you tackle, when you see conventional reality in the form of ultimate reality, then you won't fall into the state of aversion towards things. You will be less attached to the thing, but you will have the sense of well-being. It drops to this sense of well-being. The ultimate purpose of all this practice is to attain the most important thing which all of us want, that's freedom. That's liberation. Liberation from attachment to things. That's what everybody wants to find. We want to have freedom in the city, freedom from institutions, freedom from oppression. Right? Okay? But what we are practicing is freedom from attachment. Right? Freedom from being hooked on all this thing. That's something which has happened to us. Right? Just we don't realize it. Right? So that's what we're looking for, liberation. And when you're free, that's what we have. Nothing controls you, right? The things don't control you. Things don't dictate what you do. You're free. Environment, it doesn't dictate your moods. Oh, it's gloomy, I'm still happy. Right? Maybe chaos, I'm still happy. Right? Liberation. Right? So when we continue to practice, we become more and more liberated, little by little. And with this liberation, become more and more happy, and that's great happiness. Right? Some people say it's hot because it's raining. Because it's raining. The whole day is fun. You can enjoy the rain, go out, walk in the rain. You know, have a totally different view of it. Right? It's changed the view. It's all not real. Right? You can change, let's enjoy the rain once in a while.